You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network. Visit pencilandpaperproductions.podbean.com to find more great podcasts.
I'm Katrina, and I love anime.
I'm Stephen, and I'm aware of anime.
But what if that affection could rub off?
Perhaps that excitement in her eyes got me curious.
I could offer up some solid anime.
I could give them a watch, just to see what all the fuss is about.
And maybe, just maybe,
I could learn to love anime too.
Welcome to Inspired by a Weeaboo. Welcome back, my Weeaboo family. I am Katrina, your host, and with me is my husband, Stephen.
Hello.
We just finished episode 5 of Death Parade. What did you think?
Well, this one was a little interesting. First of all, I mean, the episode's name is Death March, which really, I don't feel explains the episode, kind of like some of the others did. But, I mean, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I don't really know what else you could have called it, I guess.
Yeah.
But the episode as a whole, I'm going to assume it's building to something.
Yeah.
Because we were introduced to 2 new characters. But overall, the story itself really didn't involve anything that we've kind of seen prior to now. So that was a little interesting, I guess, in that way. So it really starts off with a storybook opening where we kind of got pictures. It looks like an old storybook, and he's talking about this little boy named Jimmy, and he's in his house, and it's snowing outside, and he's all excited because he looks outside, and there's a little girl, and the little girl is wanting to, or she's outside on a pond or something like that, and she's talking or playing with her dog, and the boy wants to go play with her, so he's all excited, and he looks at the girl looks back at him, and all this is being kind of narrated by someone about the story that's being told. Then the kid goes outside, and as he's running toward the girl, he falls into a hole, and then the girl helps him out of the hole, and that pretty much ends that story, and then we go into the beginning credits and then whatnot. Now, what I did find interesting is I was kind of curious about this for some time, and I hadn't really brought it up, but the end of the end credit, or the opening, we see these 2 little dolls, and these 2 little dolls look like those kids in that storybook. So now I'm starting to think, okay, there's a connection there. So we go to the bar, the Quindecim, and, well, I guess first of all, the girl wakes up out of her bed because that was her dream.
Yes.
The black-haired girl that we don't really have a name for. Or maybe we do now. I don't know. We'll figure that out. Anyway, so the girl wakes up. She comes out to the Quindecim, and she sees Decim, and he's putting up a new picture where they kind of do the roulette, and the picture is of the boy Jimmy from the storybook. So, and she's kind of like taken aback by it. She's like, what are you changing that for? And apparently Nona told him to change it. So he's like, okay. And she can't quite put her finger on it yet, but she knows there's something familiar about her. At least that's kind of the aspect of it. And then you see him kind of get some memories implanted. So we're kind of assuming a new cavalcade of people are coming through. And then we get this man and this kid, and the man is immediately an asshole. So you're like, okay, so this guy's a jerk. And the kid just seems kind of unfazed by everything. He's just kind of there, whatnot. And I was trying to pick out the guy's voice. He sounded so familiar, and I think I figured out who he is, or where I know him from. I think he was the guy who voiced Godot in Phoenix Wright. Okay. I'm almost positive, because he had that deep voice, that's just kind of like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. Because I thought it was somebody else at first, and then the more I listened to him, I was like, maybe not. I don't know. But the guy starts looking around. He's like, this place feels familiar. And I was like, ooh, that's an interesting aspect. Maybe there's something going on there, So he's trying to feel that out. Kid doesn't really seem like he's fazed by anything. He's just kind of like, oh, I'm here. And then we kind of cut to Nona, the little white-haired girl from previous episodes. And she's playing, what'd they call it, Solar System 9-ball?
Yeah.
With another character, and I think I caught his name. Was it Oculus?
His name is Oculus. Okay. Yes. And
he's kind of an old man, got glasses, and you see him in the opening credits. A lot of these characters we're introduced to, we see in the opening credits, and like, well, who are all these people? Well, now we're getting to know them. They're all doing dances and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they're just playing pool and kind of talking about, I don't know, it's just kind of a casual conversation about, I guess, what they do. Yeah. And, I mean, I didn't really feel like the conversation went anywhere or really gleaned any information.
Well, you do kind of get a sense where he is... Nona calls him, or says he's basically a god.
Yeah, I did catch that.
So he is, I mean, we know right then and there that he's not technically an arbiter. He's not, like Nona and the rest of them. So I guess you could technically say he is Nona's boss. So, he'd be the GM and she'd be the the next in line. So,
But he almost, I mean, throughout their conversation, you kind of got the sense that it was the other way around at times. But yet she, like you said, she did kind of call him, you're basically God or something like that. But he also did refer to God.
Yes, she does tell him to, ask God. And he makes a comment that God hasn't been around for a long time.
So that's another interesting aspect I hope they intend to explore, because you don't throw that out there and not touch on it later on. Or at least I would hope not. Then we kind of go back to the Quindecim and the man. He's got a beer and he's just kind of chilling out for a minute, and then he has visions of mannequins, and then he starts to panic, and he's like, I've been here before, which again, I thought was really cool, because I was like, ooh. So, but it doesn't pan out kind of how I was hoping, but I mean, there's reasons for it. But he grabs the boy, and he goes into panic mode, like he's going to kill him, and he's like, just let me out of here, doing the usual spiel. And then Decim starts spilling out some kind of old tale about a spider, and I didn't catch it all. But it's funny that he mentions a spider, and then I think I even mentioned that before, like his little move where he does,
his strings.
Yes. They seem like, I mean, they could easily be construed as spider webs. Little thin, spidery, however, you know what I'm talking about, spider webs. So he grabs the guy, throws him against the wall. The guy's still in panic mode. And then all of a sudden you hear from behind that the little boy's like, oops. And then the girl goes down. So she's like passed out or asleep or something like that. And then Decim kind of turns around and looks at the boy. And then the boy's got this devilish grin on his face. And then they kind of reveal the boy to be, he's another arbiter, right?
Yes, his name is Genti.
And Genti seems to have this hard-on for the girl, or at least in the sense that he wants her to be gone.
Yes.
Because there's a lot we learn about her in that moment, that she has been there, or she had came to get her judgment. However, Decim couldn't pass judgment on her?
He could not pass judgment on her because when they get there, they are supposed to forgotten of, everything. So their death and, all that kind of stuff. But she did not. She had all of her memories intact. So therefore, she wouldn't play the game. And if she can't play the game, he can't judge her properly to see where she's supposed to go. So therefore, he couldn't pass judgment. So he asked Nona to erase her memory and basically give her a clean slate. So he has like he tells Ginty, he extended the period in which, he can pass the judgment. So he basically gave her more time, as well as himself more time. But he does state that he finds her interesting.
Yeah. And Ginty is not having it. He's like,
No.
She's human. She needs to go on somewhere. She doesn't belong here.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants her gone. And they never really did explain what his hang-up is, other than he just doesn't seem to like humans.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming there's more to it, but right now she's human. She doesn't belong here. She needs to go. I mean, that was pretty much his bit with that. It was just like, she just does not belong here, period.
Yeah.
So as all this was going on, they actually got into a fight because he was, Ginty was so bent out of shape. And then Nona comes in, she steps in and stops the fight. Pretty much grabs Ginty by the head, wasn't it?
Yeah. She kind of immobilizes him pretty quick. And it's pretty comical because he's a big, a big guy. And, this tiny little frail woman takes him down and pretty much paralyzes him from being able to move.
She did. She took him down pretty good.
Yeah.
And then, so we learn at that point that Nona was, I guess, performing a memory test.
Yes.
On
Decim.
Because the man was a decoy and the boy was obviously Ginty. So they implanted false memories into the man, which got uploaded into Decim.
Yes.
But what he failed to take note of is he never got any memories from the boy. Therefore, that was something he overlooked. He didn't question it, or he didn't notice.
Well, he noticed, and he said that his guard was up. It was just he got distracted by the aggression of the man, so therefore, instead of focusing on the boy, where the memories weren't there, so that should have been a red flag, he let his distractions fall on the man instead of the boy.
So, and essentially she laid it out as, if you don't have memories, there is no game. Yes. And that's that. So you need to do better than that. She pretty much kind of chided him and was like, you're going to have to do better. You need to work on it and whatnot, and kind of left him alone. So she went off on her way with, I can never remember his name.
His name is Clovis.
Clovis. See, I was close the last time that I said it. Clovis, he's the elevator guy I mentioned with the hair and the happy face and whatnot. He's just the happiest guy.
And that's literally the way they explain him on the character listing, is he is the elevator operator, and you always see him with a smile.
And the happiest man in the limbo.
Yeah.
There you go. But then we kind of see Nona. We got introduced to yet another new character, and I think her name was Castrian.
Something like that.
Something like that. Now, what was she? I didn't quite understand what she was.
She is an arbiter.
Okay.
And she actually is who used to run Quindecim. So used to be on Decim's floor and run it. And basically, I guess you could say she got promoted.
Okay.
So now she is the one who sends the people, like as they die, she's the one that sends them to their floors. So she kind of oversees all that. So when Nona actually goes into the room, you see, like blood dripping down slowly. You see a map of the earth, and of course she's doing stuff on like a little computer screen and everything like that. But she's basically the one that just decides where the people go, what floor they go to, which they haven't, I guess, technically. I mean, we know Decim is on floor 15. Ginty is on floor 20. And I actually looked up some stuff about it, which I didn't know, but Quindecim is actually Latin for the number 15.
Okay.
So the floor corresponds to the name of the bar or the area.
Right.
And Ginty's floor is 20, And the name of his is Venti, which is 20 in Latin. And then Nona's, I can't remember like how it's called or what exactly it's called, but it does have the word Nona in it. And it's floor 90, which is the big open world where she walked into with the little house. And it's all, kind of pretty, but still kind of ominous. So
and we did see that in this episode, wasn't it? Where she walked into that area?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
We've seen it twice now.
Nice. Okay, well, we never brought it up now that I'm thinking about it.
We did not.
So, yeah, she did that thing. And,
yes.
Okay, so that's cool. I mean, the whole Latin thing, Quindecim,
yes.
It never occurred to me, so I'm assuming decim is 10?
Well, actually, a very interesting thing about Decim is another thing that I found. He is actually based off of the Roman mythology Decima, which is one of the Roman fates and is the measurer of the thread of life.
So the threads in the wood, the spider webs.
And actually, Nona is also based off of one of the others. And then the woman we saw who was who sends the people to each floor is the third one. So basically, all three of them are, I guess, kind of loosely based off of the three fates from Roman mythology.
Interesting.
Yes.
Well, how about that?
So look at that. I did research.
That's cool. Okay. So where the episode ends after we meet her and kind of get the 411 on Castrin, we go back to Decim, who puts the black-haired girl to bed, and she goes back into her little dream state, and the story book kind of continues with her helping the boy out of the hole. They play, they be jolly, they, frolic and what have you. And then the boy goes home and he talks to his mom about this girl that he met. And then according to the narrator, again, keep in mind this is all being narrated as a storybook. The boy's mom tells him that the girl's name is Chavo.
Yes, Chavo.
So I'm guessing we got a hint of the girl's name now. Her name is Chavo. Maybe. So,
Now, one of the things that you do kind of get a sense of is when the black-haired woman gets up in the morning, like she does kind of live in a little place that I'm guessing is around Decim's bar or in his area. And she opens her closet and there's just a bunch of like the same type of shirts. And then it actually shows a, I don't know what they're called. They're not leotards, but it's like the little dresses that you wear for ice skating. So it actually shows that in her closet and she makes a comment of, has that been there this whole time?
Right.
So, that kind of...
And then that girl was ice skating in the storybook.
Yeah.
So, the mystery unfolds. Now, I guess I wasn't really digging for one, but even as we're talking about it, I don't feel like there was a theme here. Like we've kind of dug out in the other episodes, and that might be just because we didn't really deal with death or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because this all seemed to be character building.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it filler by any means. I think it's more building on characters that we don't quite know yet. Like the episodes about the people, they're not to say that I don't want to say this is a bad episode. No. It wasn't a bad episode, but I find the personal stories of the people coming down there a little bit more interesting than what this was.
Yeah.
But we have to know who these people are if we're going to build on that. So there needed to be an episode to kind of explain these people. Even though they didn't go into great detail about some of them, they did kind of lay some groundwork to say there are these other arbiters, there are these other people in this limbo that do exist here, and this is kind of who they are. And then maybe in other subsequent episodes they'll build off of that. So, but as an episode, I'd say if there was a weak episode thus far, this one would be it for me.
Okay.
Because it was just kind of, okay, it did, again, lay some good groundwork, but meh.
Well, I can understand that.
You know. Because I've found all the other episodes to be more entertaining and interesting versus, hey, there's some people that also live here.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And we just did a little test on the Decim. Cool. And then we got a few little sprinkles of the black-haired girl and who she may be. And at least we did, in all fairness, we did get to understand who she is.
Yeah. In
a way. Like what she's doing there.
Yes.
But beyond that, it's just, it's all right.
Yeah.
Weaker episode for me. Like if I had no idea about these, if I have watched this before, I feel like I could probably skip that one and be okay.
Okay.
So far.
Well, I have a couple more. One of the things is that you asked me on, I think it was the first episode, if this had ever aired on television.
Mm-hmm.
It did not air on television in the United States.
Okay.
The only place it aired was Japan, and it aired on several networks, NTV, Sun TV, BS Nitel, ATX, and MMT, which are all networks in Japan.
And they have some weird network names. Of course, they probably think, some of ours are weird too, like True TV and Spike TV. And
yeah.
I'm sure there's another TV out there that I'm just blanking on, but you get the picture.
I also got the voice actor for Decim, which is Alex Organ.
Don't know him.
Nona is Jade Saxton.
Don't know her.
Genty is Robert McCullum.
Nope.
Clavis is Z. Charles Bolton.
That sounds like a pretty nifty guy.
And Oculus is Jeremy Schwartz.
Schwartz. I don't know.
Then also I found out that Death Parade is actually spawned from a short film called Death Billards, which does have all these characters in it. And it is produced by Madhouse. And it was produced for the Young Animator Training Project. So that aired in 2013. And then from that, they came out with the TV show Death Parade.
Interesting. There you go. You learned a little something today.
Yes. And if I'm not mistaken, based off of the description of Death Billards, it is actually one of the episodes in the series. So if I remember correctly, I'm like 98% sure
That's fine.
that it is. But yes, just a little of those interesting facts for Death Parade.
Yeah.
Look at me doing research.
Good job.
Whoop, whoop.
See? Making notes. I mean, we had to start making notes because, doing our best to try and keep track of everything that's going on. It just helps. I'm trying not to get distracted by taking notes while I'm watching it, but I want to make sure that I've got it all fresh in my head, and I can talk about it in better detail and not just stumble through trying to remember what I remember. Even though we literally watch these, right before we record.
Yeah.
So it should be fresh in my head, but my memory is not what it used to be.
Well, I mean, there's not much we can say about this episode because it doesn't really, it leads you to believe that it's going to be like the others, but then it does kind of go off into left field. We did get some, kind of valuable information, and we will see more of Genty and the rest of them. So, yeah, that's pretty much all we can say for episode 5. So, like always, like, comment, subscribe, all of that.
All that stuff. You can go to Pencil and Paper Podcast Network, found on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, wherever you find your podcast, and youtube.com/pencilpaperproductions.
Yes, and I've been your host, Katrina, with my husband, Stephen. And like always, much love, my Weeaboo family, and we will see you next time. Evolution
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.